Alright guys, so we've done Captain America's shield, done Thor's hammer, so obviously now it is time for Iron Man. So we're doing Iron Man Mark 85. I previously have made the Mark 1, so I thought up on the movie wall it'd be pretty fitting to have first and last. So we'll show you how I made this, and let's get to the build.
Alright you guys, so this week we are making the Mark 85 Iron Man helmet. I could not find a good pattern of this anywhere, so I ended up buying this pattern from Hero's Workshop. Stealth over there at Hero's Workshop, he does awesome work on all his videos and all his props and stuff. You guys check him out. I'll put a link in the description. He only charges a few dollars for this template too, so I grabbed that from him. So I am cutting it out of 5mm craft foam. I'm getting everything cut out first and set aside so that I can just glue it all together. Starting with the faceplate. There's not a lot of pieces on this that require a 45-degree cut. The jaw piece right there is definitely one. And the eyes will all be a 45-degree cut too. Now I'm connecting the face plate to the head plate. You can see I just cut that down a little bit, like 2mm down, so that the forehead piece will sit on top of that and give it that raised look. These go on flush. Now these are the eyes. These are a little bit tricky to put on, but I'm just gluing those together first, and then I come back to those in a minute. This is the head, right and left side. You can avoid this seam line by cutting out the whole piece together, but I didn't want to use that much of my foam sheet, so I can conserve my foam if I cut it out separately. So for the eyes, what I did is I cut a 45 on the faceplate and then the opposite 45 on the eye. And I start on the top, work towards the corner, the inside corner of the eye. Just kind of line it up and then push it together there when I'm happy with how it looks. These are not super necessary, but they do add a layer of depth that make it look like it's a recessed eye socket. So here's the jaw piece. The thing about peppercoraphiles too that you have to remember is everything is sized for paper thickness. So to get these pieces to be right, I have to trim off 5mm, because that's what my foam is. My foam is 5mm. I have to trim off 5mm from the pattern on each side so that the foam won't be thicker once you glue it together. It'll be the same thickness as the pattern. If you do it for a while, you'll get a better grasp of where you have to do that. It's mostly corners that are like that, because a piece of paper will just fold and make a corner. But if you put two pieces of foam together to make a corner, then you have that 5mm or however thick your foam is. You have that added on to your overall length of your corner. This is the mouth plate, I guess. Just taking my time and lining that up and gluing that on. Trying to avoid a lot of Dremel detailing after, but it's not a huge deal if you have to. I did anyway on a lot of this just to round out that jaw and make everything look a little bit smoother. Oh, I guess this is a little bit backwards here, because I already put that mouthpiece on, and now I'm putting the top on, which was already on that last shot. So that's an editing error on my part. So sorry for that, but you see how that glued on there. So then I glue the two sides of the head pieces together. So after that, you can glue the jaw and mouthpiece onto the faceplate. It's funny just how once you get these couple pieces glued together, just how iconic the Iron Man faceplate is. Even like the jaw, like once you glue the jaw together, it's like you know it's Iron Man. But the overall faceplate here is just super iconic. This is part of the head, the side head, kind of like where the ear goes. Can't super tell easily, but I'm gluing this piece like 2mm offset down, so that there is a ridge line there. You can kind of tell there. You see how it's about 2mm. Just add a nice little panel detail. Now the top of the forehead, it gets glued on level. There's no like raised or lowered detail lines there. It's just on there level. See, that's a bad glue job right there. It stuck down and I didn't want to peel it up and rip it, so that will get dremeled smooth later, so it's not a big deal. So now these are the ear pieces here. I pre-glued these, just gluing them together. You can avoid these seams by just not cutting that dart out, but I wanted to just to help it give it a little bit of a curve. So now this is that side of the head panel I was working on, and I glued this on. This part gets recessed too, just like the other part. Basically what this is the silver part, and all the red parts get glued flush with the other red parts. If you look at the picture, you can kind of see. It's kind of hard to explain it when it's all white. But while I'm building, I am looking at reference pictures. I'm looking at the Pepakora 3D object all at the same time, just so I can see my pieces and I can see where everything goes together. This is the other part of the ear. This gets glued on, and this also helps it have like that curved dome ear shape. Reference images are kind of hard. I struggle with them a lot because I try to make things as accurate as possible to the movies and to the artwork itself. But stuff changes all the time. You can't always get good reference images from the movies. Even the movies, sometimes it changes scene to scene. And then even if you find like the Hot Toys statues and figures, they're usually a little bit different. Even what do you call it? Like 3D artwork and like files, they're all different. And I found that even the exclusive Marvel's licensed recreation helmets are all different. Like, they are not 100% accurate. They're just made to look kind of like the thing from the movie, and they just kind of put it out. So it is very hard to find things that are 100% accurate. For this, I even went through and I was watching parts of Infinity War and Endgame just to see the helmet, see how it looked. And I kind of settled on how I do it later. I change. Once I get this all together, I go through and I will change some of the seam lines and cut the helmet apart and re-glue it together to make it look more accurate. I just wanted to get it glued together and have a good base to start from. It's really good just to have your base so you can see the 3D item, and then from there you can kind of go through and then draw on there like what you want to change, where you want things to be a little different. So this is the inside of the jaw and head. It just kind of helps it retain its shape. It will always kind of stay glued to this shape, and it will just help the jaw stay a jaw shape, and it will help the head not like warp out. Sometimes with foam over time, it'll try to go back to being flat, and it'll stretch out and look weird. So that interior. So what I'm doing here, is I'm kind of pointing out all the things that I want to change. So like that needs to be straight, and I recut the panels. You'll see here in a minute. I'm doing the ear detail with a soldering iron. You've seen me do this before. I'm just going through and just giving this the recessed panel line. I do that for the mouth line too. The reason I do the soldering iron is because the gaps are a little bit wider than what I can get with my X-Acto knife with the heating treatment, so that's why I use that there instead of the knife scoring technique. These panel lines I cut out. These are different from the blueprint I have. I can see those in some reference images, so that's what I do there, and then I just back it with a piece of 2mm foam. So here I go through with my Dremel, and like I said earlier, just round out some of those corners, make them look flush, make them not look wonky and stick out. And I go through all the seams, and I just sand down all the seams to get them level, get them flush, get them ready for a quick fill. I always use this quick seal. It's an adhesive caulk. I put it down into your seams. Then I go through with a little bit of water on my finger and just smooth it out and blend it into the foam. Coat it 2 to 3 layers of Plasti Dip. Then I use this gold metallic from Rust-Oleum, and very surprised at the level of shine I got from this gold paint. Just this spray can paint. The gold is pretty great. I didn't want to get crazy with the red. I know there's like automotive reds and like pearl reds. I didn't want to mess around with that. I just wanted to paint it, so I just used some of this bright red. It looks pretty good anyway. It doesn't look too bad. So then I take all the masking off. I think later on I spray another layer of gold on top of that just to cover up some of the tape doesn't peel. I didn't have any problems with the tape peeling off the gold, but it dulled it a little bit. It peeled off just that top layer of shine, so I just sprayed it again after that. This is just some Testors bright silver, and I just go through and I paint all of the silver detail seams and panels with all of this. I would much rather paint everything by hand than taping it off. I hate taping off and painting stuff. I always have problems with paint peeling off just because I'm super impatient. So I would much rather go through and paint stuff by hand if I could, or airbrush. I've been using my airbrush a lot more lately. This is just some black acrylic, and I am just going through and I'm doing the mouth line, and I go through and I do some of these silver lines just to break them up, give them a little bit of depth, so they're not just one flat color. I didn't do any weathering on this helmet. I wanted it to be pretty glossy, pretty clean, which is out of the normal for me. I'm not good at keeping stuff clean like that. But this is some translucent foam that came out of a phone protector case. Just using this for the eyes, putting it in the back of the eyes. You can see even with just the flashlight from your cell phone how bright that lights that up. So that is it for the Iron Man Mark 85. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you next week.